Let's start with the leak of U.S. intelligence, this pair of documents that described Israel's secret plan to retaliate against Iran. How serious is this leak? Any indication of its source? Did it come from inside? What does this tell you?
Natasha, the type of intelligence that was leaked is the most sensitive and highly classified that we have. And it shows a horrible position of our intelligence agencies that somebody that has access and clearance to that type of information is leaking it. And furthermore, the fact that that leak actually exacerbates the challenge of Israel responding properly to Iran means that it's counter to not just Israeli interests, but U.S. interests as well. And it must be thoroughly investigated to root out the source of that leak.
Yeah, and now that the documents have been leaked about Israel's plans to attack Iran, how do you expect this will impact Israel's plans? I mean, is it essentially back to the drawing board for them?
Natasha, they have a very robust set of plans of things they can do to respond specifically to the October 1st attack from Iran to Israel. And thus far, we've been focusing on military-only targets. But I think not only the leak, but the strike against Prime Minister Netanyahu now opens up a wider set of targets against economic targets, nuclear targets, or leadership targets in Iran, that the attack against Netanyahu can form a pretext for something far more aggressive than would have otherwise been in the Israeli plans that were ultimately leaked.
You know, I do want to get your take because separately from this and poignantly, we are hearing sound from some families of hostages after Yahya Sinwar's death saying that they are so hopeful at this point that this would mean a ceasefire is within reach now. Tell us more about this. We are hearing about Mohammed, Sinwar's brother, who is known apparently to be even more brutal. He is likely ascending this position. Do you expect a ceasefire is more or less likely now that Yahya Sinwar has been taken out?
Natasha, we have to continue to be very sympathetic to those hostage families that have been up and down in a roller coaster of expecting a ceasefire and then those hopes being dashed. We do know that Hamas spokesmen have come out since the death of Sinwar and said that the maximalist aims of Hamas continue to be in place, which means that they won't release the hostages until Israel completely evacuates out of Gaza. We know that's not going to happen. We do know there's a bit of a power struggle now that they lost Hamas, their political and military leader, after the death of Sinwar. And we have to let things play out, but we certainly shouldn't get our hopes up. But we should use this as an opportunity to help the Israelis negotiate from a position of power to hopefully get those hostages back.
Okay, and Netanyahu, meanwhile, is saying he is unscathed. He was not home when a Hezbollah drone hit his property in what he is calling an assassination attempt. General, was this a failure of intelligence on Hezbollah's part? And explain the ramifications if Netanyahu had indeed been hit. Would that have signaled all-out war in this region? Is that what is at stake?
I think just the fact that Hezbollah, supported by Iran, made an attempt on the PM's life is an indication of how extreme not just Hezbollah, but Iran is willing to go to try to hurt Israel in the strongest possible way. I do think it's interesting and important that Prime Minister Netanyahu has not blamed Hezbollah, but Iran for being the ultimate source of the assassination attempt. And I think, again, that opens up the options for Israel to strike very strongly against Iran. And that strike could take place any day now. And I do think it opens up more aggressive options because Iran, through Hezbollah, tried to assassinate the Israeli prime minister.
Always appreciate the analysis. Retired Air Force Brigadier General John Teichert, thank you so much for your time tonight. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.